we move on to the amazing Nicole Ajmal from WGSN. So Nicole, hi Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you. You've got an awesome presentation for us. Obviously, we've been friends for many years, and it's lovely to see another rising star coming up through the ranks, especially coming out of like WGSN. So thank you for WGSN for partnering with Transformers Foundation. And I think hopefully your presentation is about 15 minutes or so long, and then there'll be a Q&A at the end. And I wish you the best of luck. So please share your screen, and yeah,
Thank you.
off we go.
Thanks, Mohsin. As Mohsin said, my name's Nicole Ajmal, and my current role is at WGSN, and I'm the fabric and sourcing strategist. And basically that means that I create reports for the textiles, forecasts, sourcing guides, catwalks, trade shows, and sustainability and innovation. I just want to give you a bit of background on myself. So basically at university, I studied textile design and specialized in woven textiles. So first and foremost, I'm a weaver, and over my career, I've basically worked with brands such as Timberland, ASOS, Burberry, Tommy Hilfiger, and Calvin Klein. And Mohsin actually helped me get my first job at Timberland, so I'm always very grateful to him. And over those few brands, I've been doing fabric, trims, color, and packaging research and development. So it's not just been focused on fabric, but I've kind of covered materials as a whole, which has been super interesting, and all kind of benefited each other over my career. On the presentation on the right there, you can see some of my examples of my hand woven and hand dyed fabrics. And really this started like my love and understanding of denim. And it kind of, I basically brought the complexity of weaving and challenged the traditional techniques of denim. And this is all hand woven on my 24 shaft loom, which I still have at home. And yeah, like I said, all hand dyed with natural indigos. And then after uni, it was quite interesting because WGSN actually wrote an article about all my woven work. So it's kind of beautiful that I've done a full circle and now I'm creating reports for them. Okay, so a little bit about WGSN. We're the world's leading consumer trend forecasting company. And basically we accurately forecast consumer lifestyle and product design trends to empower our clients and make confident decisions to help them adapt and stay ahead of this ever-changing consumer landscape and rapidly escalating climate properties. There's basically a unique blend of global expert insights, data and analytics tools, plus cross-industry knowledge, which helps businesses to get ahead of the right trends. As you can see on the screen there, there's 20 plus years of forecasting expertise, 160 plus monthly trend reports, 440 plus in-house industry experts, data analysts and advisory consultants, and we track 128 countries for deep local insight. We work within different areas of the fashion industry, from global brands, supplier chains, fiber companies, and in particular to denim, we look at laundry clients as well. So this graph is a little bit overwhelming. There's quite a lot to look at. But basically it breaks down how we arrive at the trends and how all these ideas are woven together. And I kind of love this graph because it kind of looks like a weave construction. And basically we take in the data that we collect from social media, catwalks and brands, along with knowledge through sustainability, designers, color forecasts and consultants, to foundation research looking at society, technology, environment, politics, industry, and creative culture, which kind of we call our STEPIC process. And then we blend all of that together to create forecasts, thinking about global representation, diversity and inclusion, sustainability, and data validation. This then feeds out into things like market analysis, case studies, city guides, design resources, and so on. And for me, I think the part that I love the most is probably the STEPIC process that I spoke about before. which is, I'll remind you, which is society, technology, environment, politics, industry, and creative culture. It's at the bottom left here. And it was super interesting because before I started WGSN, I didn't really understand how trends were created. And to be able to break it down like that and see how much of these areas influence fashion, it's not something that people really understand. So to be able to take all those ideas into areas into consideration and see how they've influenced like artists and designers globally within art and culture, product and design, sustainability and innovation, and fashion and textiles, just shows that, you know, fashion isn't just about like wearing clothes. There's a deeper meaning to all of that. And once we kind of go through all these processes, obviously there's a continuous monitoring to see how things are picked up on social media and consumer behavior and market tracking as well. So, as I said, like why are trends are so important. And I think I've kind of touched this on the last couple of slides, but it really helps companies to invest into the right product at the right time. So being able to suit consumers' behavior is so important for brands and suppliers, as they really want to be able to invest in a product that is going to be able to sell, basically, with ensuring that there's equality and responsible sourcing. And basically, our job is to highlight innovation and sustainability within the industry and share this information on new developments that are happening and try and set a standard across the industry. Brands are able to make products with confidence and trade at the right time. How is the research executed? One area that I look at is trade show reports. So fortunately, I get to travel and experience all these trade shows. It's definitely a perk of the job. I get to meet people from all over the world, and a lot of the time bump into Mohsin as well, which is always nice. This really gives me an opportunity to speak with industry experts. So, for example, I get to speak to different people at different levels. So suppliers, buyers, designers, and basically we're able to discuss progresses, but also challenges within the industry to kind of see how like our own experience aligns. And I have to say, with a sourcing and development role, a lot of the job really is about maintaining relationships. So it's super important to speak to different people and suppliers from all over the world to collect all different opinions. From this information, I definitely create my own understanding and knowledge. And it helps me to build my own confidence and trust my intuition when sourcing fabrics. I think intuition is a huge part of the job, and having confidence in what you're selecting, because obviously I'm basically advising, you know, some of the biggest brands on the high street at the moment. When you first start out, it's definitely quite scary, but you definitely get into a routine and find your own way of working with it. So some advice that I would give is don't be afraid to ask as many questions as possible. The industry is forever changing, and even though it might not seem like you know a lot when you first start, there's always so much to learn, you know, even if you've been in the industry 10 plus years. As I said, it's forever changing. So I think that's really the beautiful thing about materials and textiles, and the reason why I'm so passionate about it. On the screen here, one of the trends that I picked up from Denim Premier Vision in Berlin this year is a deconstructed story. And basically this highlights the distressed and eroded textures which are built through jacquards, laser and patching techniques. I would probably say this is one of our more fashion-driven trends. The fabrics are, as you can see, like super exciting. I really love ISCO's development on the top left there, where they've lasered the floats on the fabric construction to create like this detailed repetitive design, whereas Bossa on the bottom right, they've created like this real playful texture through cut floats and created like height and volume to the fabric. So these aren't really like your typical denim trends, but also and ones that not all brands would invest in, but you know, super interesting to look at. So the next one, as I said, the one before is quite a fashion forward trend and a bolder one, whereas we also do have to look at the subtleties in fabrics. And I think these trends are a little harder to find, and really this is where like your fabric knowledge and experience comes in. So this trend here is from Kingpins in Amsterdam, and it highlights the undyed and unprocessed trend, which possibly could be an update for core fabric selections. These kind of bases, they would be ones that brands invest in and have them running throughout the year. So no matter the season or the trends that are happening, brands need kind of like a basic base that is sustainability focused, as that's super important at the moment, considering fiber and production. And this one in particular really embraces the natural ecru shades of untreated basis. And it also highlights the craft aspect of denim as well. So, you know, we also have to think about protecting different communities and makers that are involved in the process. So it's not just about the raw material, but the whole journey of the fabric. In this trend here, we definitely talk about fibers like BCI, organic and recycled cotton. The reason why we still highlight BCI is because, you know, not all companies can invest in fiber, invest as much money into organic and recycled cotton. So it has to be able to hit kind of all areas of the fashion industry, from brands like Primark to, you know, people like Louis Vuitton, let's say. But, you know, we've suggested to blend with like hemp or tencel, depending on what kind of final finish is required. One of the fabrics I'd like to highlight is from Freedom Denim, which is the bottom middle image. And basically they've included a seeded denim, which shows the natural visible cotton seeds within the fabric, which I think is super cool. And I really love like the authenticity of the fibers that are able to shine here. And, you know, we can look at like slubbed and hairy characteristics of the yarns and that subtle texture rather than like a more refined twisted yarn. So it's becoming more and more important for brands and suppliers to meet sustainability targets. And here on the screen, I've kind of broken down the things that we need to think about. So we look at the raw materials and production, localization and ethical working practices. So localization could include like if you're sourcing your fabric from Portugal, let's say, you know, you want to make sure that you get all your labels and your trims and everything, and the garment manufacturer is all either in Portugal or kind of nearby. So it cuts down on your carbon emissions. And then, yeah, the ethical working practices will look at the working conditions, then production, assembly and distribution. Again, that kind of ties into localization as well. And then consumer use and end of life. So I definitely think the next topic for the fashion industry to challenge is circularity. It's quite a complicated topic to challenge because you know, there's so many components involved, but yeah, we're definitely making a start on it, which is exciting. And you know, it's all well and good for us to be able to create all these different trends, but really they do need to align with environmental targets. So there has to be a consideration towards unsustainable consumption and make sure that we're working in harmony with nature. And this kind of ties back to why the trends are important. You know, we need to make sure that brands are making consumers aware of the impact and want to invest their money where consumers, sorry, want to invest their money, and for us to be able to advise brands on how they can have a good ethos. WGSN is definitely focused on supporting communities and having a positive impact on people, the environment, and the customers that we serve. So that's something that we feel strongly about. Okay, then next is we also look at catwalks and street style, but I'm going to cover the catwalks first. These are some of the images that I've collected from the Spring Summer 23 catwalks, I think. And at the top there, you can see the men's, the top four, sorry, are the men's trends. So yeah, it's kind of like a focused on colored denim. And then the women's at the bottom there, different washes and kind of patching techniques, also focused on styling. And for the catwalks, WGSN basically they cover every major show, and we have an amazing catalogue of 3 million catwalk images, which spans over 20 years. So, you know, we can go all the way back as well. We report on catwalks. So at the moment, we're super busy. We've got like an internal Instagram account available on the site. And that basically shows us or helps us to report on trends quickly, and then we would also create like a more in-depth report from that, looking at styling, trims, and also fabrics. And within that, you know, we try and find common themes in the fabric side of stuff. We definitely look at qualities, washes, trims, and styling, like I said. And basically this helps to support and inform everything that we've created in our forecasts and our sourcing guides. Then next, we look at street style, and basically that kind of informs us of how the people are wearing the products and are influenced by the trends. So it's interesting because you get to see how people have a personal and individual aspect to their clothes. And, you know, as people wear it, they'll create their own emotional connection with the pieces. So super interesting to see like how people will respond to these kind of ideas through clothing. At WGSN, we look at over 100,000 social media posts monthly and check the influence, as well as like 10,000 brands across 200 retailers. So, you know, we spend a lot of time on the computers and out and about in stores to see what's happening. We collect product data from major global e-commerce sites, and basically this enables us to assess the trends over time. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how all these different aspects can influence the trends. Yeah, how kind of trends translate into street style and retail, and how people kind of pick them up. That's actually the end and quick introduction to WGSN. I don't know if I've gone over, just under the time.
You were perfect. You were
Okay.
absolutely perfect. If you could unshare your screen, that'd be amazing. We have a little quick chat before we move on to the next one. That was really amazing, and it's so lovely to see it from your perspective. Obviously, we see trends all the time, but it's always nice to have a trend specialist come on just to give us a slight snapshot of what you're doing. It will definitely inspire a lot of the students going forward, because obviously you were a designer and now you're doing trend and it's mixing in design. So, you know, how was that for you coming to that conclusion? Like, maybe I like reporting on stuff, I find it quite fun. Do you like the traveling aspect of it? But do you miss being a designer?
Do you know what? I wasn't expecting to work at WGSN. I think working at different brands, it's super interesting, and you learn so much about the whole process, and you get to work with buyers, merchandisers, designers, suppliers. But I think when you work for a brand, you have to be in tune with how they think. There's no real creativity, especially when you're working on a development side of stuff, because you basically get told to.
You're a cog in a bigger machine, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the beauty of WGSN is that, you know, obviously there's all these targets that we need to meet, and I need to cover. So I don't only work on denim, but also just fabrics as a whole. So I have to think about like tailoring, casual wear, evening, you know, all these kind of elements. But I definitely am able to put my own spin on all of it. And I think that is probably one of the most creative jobs that I've had in a corporate environment, because I'm able to highlight new brands or designers that I think are cool, get to connect with them. I get to select the images that I want to include on the reports.
You get to set the trends a lot of the time. You're the eyes of the industry, really. There's so many designers that can't cover what our Turkish friends and Pakistani friends and Japanese friends are doing at the same time. So having someone like you with a good eye is very important. I've got a question that have come through WhatsApp. So let's read it. Does that WSN see denim to be permanently for a fashion article, or would consumers get tired of it at a certain point? So it's the freshness of it, right? So it's keeping it fresh and modern and young, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like I said, on the undyed and unprocessed trends, it's not always looking at the, real big fashion driving trends, but also the subtleties in the fabrics as well. So, and with sustainability and innovation being such a key thing for suppliers and brands, like, it might be a trend on a new wash technique or a new process, or, looking at hemp and the complexity of being able to even sell hemp across the world, because it's not legal in a lot of countries, or it's not accepted. So like I said, the industry is forever changing, as you know, and there's always so much to learn.
We're in very good hands when we've got someone like you advising us and telling us what's going on, and having someone with a slightly younger perspective looking at it with fresh eyes is always very exciting for us as slightly older people in the industry. But I thank you so much for your time, for educating us and telling us what you do. And it's very nice, a nice introduction to a lot of people who will find out about you soon. But you travel to all of the major shows, so I guess if anyone sees you, they should stop you and say like hello, right? That's really the key.
Yeah, please. I'll be in Kingpins next month, so
nice.
See you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this, and thank you so much, Nicole Ajmal. Thank you again.